The new year came by, and with itself, it brought me the first trip of the year, and that too to the beautiful country of Mexico. I had to get my H-1B visa renewed, so instead of taking the short trip to Canada, where the next dates for interviews and biometrics were far, far away in June, I actually took a trip to Mexico to get my visa renewed. I took help from this organization, a company called H-1B Stamping LLC, who help folks like us from the States to actually go into Mexico safely, prepare the accommodation, and help with the local traveling needs. This company is actually run by Ernesto and Venkat, and I'll definitely drop a link to them down below in the description. So why did I actually try to get a company to help me instead of just planning the whole trip myself? Well, there are a bunch of factors. First off, if you want to make the visa fee payment, it is faster if you make it on ground, so having somebody there in Mexico actually helps you. I know a lot of people have concerns about safety in Mexico, and they are valid concerns. Traveling in accommodation with Ernesto and Venkat's H-1B Stamping LLC is actually easy and seamless. And next up, I actually needed a lot of guidance. I'd never been to Latin America. More so, I'd never even heard any of my friends or acquaintances go there for restamping. So I did need a bunch of information and guidance to do this. That's why I opted to get help from them. I must say this, getting any help from them does not replace the lawyer's recommendations. So please make sure before you actually take this step, you do consult with your immigration lawyers. Next up, I do want to talk about the documentation that you should be taking along with you. Well, apart from the usual passport, old and new, which at least has a 6-month validity, you definitely have to take the filled out DS-160 confirmation page. And just to be on the safe side, take the visa application fee confirmation as well along with you. Next up, the original copy of I-797, your H-1B petition, degrees and transcripts, all originals, offer letter from your company, or the employment verification letter along with it. Please make sure you also take your resume and your job description. They definitely asked for mine. If you have a company badge, I'd recommend taking that along with you. It just sometimes helps to show them the proof that yes, you're working at this particular company. A few extra documents that you might want to take along with you just to be on the safe side are pay stubs for the last 3 months, original copies of your previous H1s or a current I-140 or any green card related paperwork, previous F1 documentation, all originals along with you. Also, bank statement for the last 3 months, W-3 forms of the last 3 years, original and photocopies, any driver's license or a utility bill which actually shows the proof of your residence in the United States can also be helpful. Well, this was everything about the documentation that you would need to take. Next up, I would recommend taking a few things and keeping a few points in mind before you actually take the trip. If you're taking the accommodation with H-1B Stamping LLC, that means you'll have to be staying in the Microtel Inn and Suites by Wyndham. Well, make sure you take a toothbrush and toothpaste along with you because they don't really offer one. Also, in the same hotel, they only supply 1 bottle of water. So I'd recommend taking a number of bottles of water, especially if you're somebody like me who needs to get their 5-liter intake every day. Make sure you check the climate of Ciudad Juarez or any other border city that you're traveling to. The climate there is usually same as Texas, so you can dress accordingly. Also, if you do not have anybody traveling along with you, someone who is not going to be taking part in the entire visa stamping process, make sure that you store your electronic devices such as cell phones either with Angel, the point of contact who will be helping you out throughout this trip, or you can store it back at your hotel room. Food recommendations. Well, right next to the Microtel Inn and Suites, you have the Denny's and Burger King. But if you cross the road, there's a huge mall called the Liverpool where they have different vendors that supply different options. If you are a vegetarian like me, you definitely can find a lot of options there as well. Yes, a few tips while you're actually entering Mexico. Make sure that you have at least $2 worth of quarters. You would need those at the turnstile when you enter the border via road. Also, if you feel that you might need a temporary visa, you can get that at the border or you can get it online. I'll definitely post the link to the online method down in the description. But if you're planning to get that visa at the border, make sure you have $30 in cash along with you. But you don't really need to be worried about your transactions in Mexico. Any US debit or credit card is accepted. At least I was able to do it with my Bank of America debit cards. I would definitely recommend that you download Google Translate. It helped me converse with Angel, who was our point of contact there in Ciudad Juarez. A few key points. The outer cities or the border cities like Matamoros, Ciudad Juarez, they do not really require visa, especially if you have a US visa or passports from Canada, US, or Australia. You don't really need a Mexican visa to enter those cities. But if you're actually planning to travel inside Mexico, you might need a visa. Well, if you just want to be safe, go to the Mexican embassy and get your visa, which is valid for the next 6 months. Or you can get a border temporary visa, again, just for $30. The whole process for getting the H-1B visa restamped basically is day 1 for biometrics, day 2 for the interview, and then a little wait for a couple of days, especially if you are in Ciudad Juarez. You can get the visa probably the next day or a day after that, and then you can plan your trip return immediately. For somebody like me who traveled to Ciudad Juarez, the wait time was just 1 more day. It's just that the weekend came in between, so when I finished my interview on Friday, I got the visa on Monday. There are different wait times for different locations, so make sure you check that out on the website and also converse with the folks from H-1B Stamping LLC as to what the current wait times may be. Well, the whole trip actually cost me $459, which included accommodation and local travel, so it wasn't that bad a deal. But this was just for 3 days. If you actually had to stay a couple more days, which I ended up doing because the weekend came in, you might have to pay a little bit extra. Well, you can do the booking for those extra days of accommodation online via Expedia or any other website, or you can definitely work with H-1B LLC and they can help you out in making the reservation. All in all, the trip was really nice and seamless.
Cuando pasaba por el fondo del océano, la morena, la bellísima sirena.